My beloved child. There is a reason this message found you at this exact moment, and if you feel even a small pull in your heart right now, do not ignore it, because something unexpected has already begun moving quietly around your name. Not long ago, in a place you could not see, your name entered a conversation you were never supposed to hear. It was not spoken casually. It was not mentioned without emotion. It was carried carefully, almost like someone was holding something fragile, something difficult to explain, something they had kept inside for longer than anyone realized. And the person who spoke about you did not choose just anyone to listen. They chose a family member. That alone matters more than you think. Because people do not bring your name into family conversations unless what they feel has reached a level they can no longer hide. Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you, and what was shared about you was not ordinary. At first, there was silence before they began speaking. A hesitation. A pause that revealed how deeply they had been thinking. The family member noticed it immediately. They could tell this was not a random discussion. Something inside that person had already changed. Then your name was spoken. Softly. Carefully. Almost as if saying it too quickly would reveal too much. And when they said your name, the energy of the room shifted. Because behind that one moment was a truth they had not told many people. A truth they had hidden behind ordinary words, behind normal behavior, behind days when nothing seemed unusual on the surface. But inside, something had already become impossible to ignore. Do not skip, because what came next was unexpected even for the one listening. They admitted that your presence had stayed in their thoughts longer than they expected. They admitted that even when trying to focus elsewhere, something kept bringing them back to remembering small things about you, your words, your silence, the way certain moments felt different around you than around anyone else. And what shocked the family member most was not that your name was mentioned. It was how serious the tone became after that. Because this person was not speaking like someone curious. They were speaking like someone affected. Like someone trying to understand why your absence had weight. Why your image returned unexpectedly. Why certain hours of the day suddenly felt connected to memories they could not explain. And while they spoke, the family member listened carefully, because they realized this was not just admiration. This had depth. Something huge is waiting for you, because there was one sentence spoken next that changed the entire direction of that conversation. They said, quietly, that something about you feels rare. Not loud. Not obvious. Rare. And when those words were spoken, even they seemed surprised hearing themselves say it aloud. Because some truths become real only when spoken for the first time. Until then, they remain hidden even from the person feeling them. That family member asked a simple question. What is it about this person that stays with you? And the answer did not come quickly. Because some feelings do not arrive in easy language. There was another silence. A longer one. Then came words no one expected. They said they could not explain it fully, but being near your energy created something calm and powerful at the same time. They said your presence did not leave quickly. Even after conversations ended. Even after days passed. even after trying to move attention elsewhere. Your name still returned. Stay till the end, because this next part matters deeply. The family member then asked if they had ever told you any of this. And immediately, the answer was no. No, because they were unsure if speaking would change everything. No, because sometimes when something feels important, fear arrives beside it. Fear of misunderstanding. Fear of timing. Fear of revealing too much before knowing what the other side carries inside. So they remained quiet outwardly. But inwardly, they had already reached the point where silence became difficult. And that is why your name reached family before reaching you. Because sometimes people test their truth in safe places before facing the person connected to it. Do not skip now, because something even more unexpected was said. The family member smiled and asked whether this feeling had grown slowly or arrived suddenly. And the answer came almost immediately. It began quietly, but now it feels impossible to ignore. That sentence changed the room. Because now even the listener understood that what was happening had crossed from passing thought into something real. Something steady. Something that had been building while you were unaware. And perhaps while you were wondering why certain moments around you felt different lately. Why certain energies seemed unfinished. Why something inside you sensed that unseen thoughts were moving nearby. Because sometimes before words arrive, hearts already begin recognizing movement. And this conversation did not end there. The family member leaned closer and asked one final thing. Do you think this person knows? Again, silence. Again, hesitation. And then came the most unexpected reply of all. I think they feel something, but not the full truth. Something huge is waiting for you, because that answer reveals more than they intended. It means they believe there is already a silent connection. A subtle awareness. A thread not fully spoken, but quietly felt. And whether you noticed it through glances, pauses, unfinished moments, or unexplained shifts, something has indeed been forming beneath ordinary days. Not loudly. Not dramatically. But deeply. Very deeply. And this is why this message matters now. Because while you continue living your days, someone has already crossed an inner line where your name carries meaning beyond what they expected. Your name now enters places where serious thoughts are spoken. Your name now appears in moments where future possibilities are quietly considered. Your name now lives inside conversations that are no longer casual. Do not skip, because what happens next may surprise you even more. After that conversation ended, the family member reportedly gave advice. Not forceful advice. Just a calm sentence. If something about this person is true in your heart, do not wait too long to understand it clearly. And those words stayed with them. Because hearing truth from another person often makes hidden feelings louder. Now the silence around your name is no longer empty. It carries thought. Reflection. Questions. Possibility. And while nothing may appear obvious on the outside yet, something inward has already shifted. You are being remembered more seriously than you realize. You are being discussed more carefully than you know. You are being held in thought with more weight than anyone has openly shown. Stay till the end, because the most powerful part is this. Sometimes the first sign that something meaningful is forming is not a message, not a confession, not a sudden action. It is your name reaching someone else's family before it ever reaches your ears. Because that means the feeling has already become important enough to leave silence. And once silence breaks in one place, it rarely stays closed forever. What was spoken cannot return to being unspoken. What was admitted cannot return to being unfelt. And what has now begun may soon move closer than expected. So remain observant. Remain calm. Because quiet things often become clear without warning. And when they do, you will understand why this message reached you exactly now. Do not skip what is unfolding around your name. Something huge is waiting for you. And what happened after that conversation ended was even more unusual, because your name did not disappear when the room became quiet. It remained there. Long after the words stopped, long after the chairs moved, long after the family member walked away, something about what had been said continued echoing in that person's mind. Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you, and this next part explains why the conversation became impossible for them to forget. They returned to those same words later in the day. Not once. More than once. As if replaying every sentence to understand why speaking about you created such a deep feeling inside them. Because sometimes a person does not realize the true weight of what they feel until they hear their own voice reveal it aloud. And that is exactly what happened. The family member noticed it too. Hours later, another quiet moment came, and they asked again about you, not because they were curious, but because they sensed something unfinished in the earlier conversation. This time the question was simpler. Are you thinking seriously about this person? There was no quick answer. Only a long pause. A pause that already contained the truth. Do not skip, because what came next was spoken carefully, almost like a confession they had not planned to make twice in one day. They admitted that lately your name had begun appearing in unexpected moments. During ordinary routines. During silent evenings. Even during conversations that had nothing to do with you. And what surprised them most was how naturally your memory returned without effort. Not forced. Not searched for. Just present. That family member listened closely and then asked whether anything specific had caused this shift. Was it something you said? Something you did? A recent moment? But the answer shocked even them. They said no single moment caused it. Instead, they described it like this. It feels like I suddenly understood something that was quietly there all along. Something huge is waiting for you, because that sentence reveals more than they realized. It means this was not sudden imagination. This was slow recognition. A feeling that had existed beneath the surface until one day it became impossible not to notice. And once that awareness arrived, everything connected differently. Your smile meant more. Your silence meant more. Even ordinary memories became stronger. Stay till the end, because the next revelation changed the entire tone again. The family member then asked whether they had imagined a future where you remained present. At first they laughed softly, trying to avoid the seriousness of the question. But then the laughter disappeared. And with complete honesty, they answered. More than once. That answer changed everything. Because imagining someone in your future is never casual when spoken to family. It means your name has already entered spaces where deeper thoughts live. It means your presence has crossed from memory into possibility. And that possibility is being examined quietly, carefully, seriously. Do not skip, because there was another unexpected detail. They admitted that recently, even small things had begun reminding them of you. A sentence someone else spoke. A familiar place. A song heard at the wrong time. A simple moment that suddenly carried your image without warning. And what they could not explain was why these reminders now felt stronger than before. Almost as if something inside had become more awake. The family member listened and then said something that stayed in the room. When someone begins appearing in ordinary moments without invitation, it usually means they already matter more than expected. Those words landed deeply. Because truth sounds different when spoken by someone outside your own heart. And after hearing that, they became very quiet. Very thoughtful. As if realizing that what they were trying to ignore had already grown beyond easy denial. Something huge is waiting for you, because one final statement was spoken before that conversation ended again. They said they had tried to dismiss these feelings before. Tried to label them as temporary. Tried to convince themselves it was nothing unusual. But each attempt failed. Because your name kept returning stronger. Not weaker. And now, instead of fading, the feeling had become clearer. Stay till the end, because clarity changes people. When someone reaches the point where they can no longer pretend their thoughts are ordinary, they begin noticing everything differently. And that has already started. The way you speak. The way you pause. The way certain moments around you feel unexpectedly meaningful. All of it has become noticeable in a new way. And perhaps you sense this shift without understanding it fully. Perhaps there were moments where something felt slightly different but difficult to explain. That is because silent thoughts often create invisible movement before words ever arrive. Do not skip now, because the family member asked one last quiet question before leaving. If this became real one day, would it change your life? And the answer came without hesitation. Yes. No long explanation. No extra words. Just one clear answer. Yes. And sometimes one simple answer reveals more than an entire speech. Because short truth often comes from the deepest place. That means your presence is not being measured lightly. It is being felt in ways that already reach future thinking. Something huge is waiting for you, because once someone answers that honestly, silence no longer remains the same. The conversation may have ended outwardly, but inwardly something continued growing. A new awareness. A new seriousness. A new inability to treat your name like before. And that is why this message matters now. Because while everything may still appear normal around you, your name has already crossed into deeper reflection elsewhere. You are being thought of with weight. You are being remembered with unusual care. And the words already spoken about you cannot be taken back. They now exist in another heart and in another family's memory. Stay till the end, because quiet truths rarely remain hidden forever. What begins in whispers often becomes clear in moments no one expects. And when that moment arrives, you may suddenly understand why your name was spoken with such seriousness when you were not there to hear it. Do not skip. Something huge is waiting for you. There was one moment after all of this that became impossible for them to ignore, and it happened when your name returned again without anyone even bringing it up first. It was not planned. It was not expected. Yet somehow, in another quiet family moment, your name appeared again, as if unfinished thoughts had found their way back to the surface. Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you, and what happened next revealed how deeply this had already entered their heart. The family member noticed immediately that the tone had changed. This time there was less hesitation. Less hiding. Because once truth has been spoken once, it becomes harder to hide the second time. They asked gently, almost already knowing the answer. Are you still thinking about that person? And before the question fully settled in the room, the answer came. More than before. Those 3 words changed everything. Because feelings usually fade when they are uncertain. But when they grow stronger after being spoken aloud, it means something inside has become real enough to resist silence. Do not skip, because this next detail was unexpected even for the listener. They explained that recently they had begun noticing how different your presence feels compared to everyone else. Not louder. Not dramatic. Just different in a way that stayed with them after ordinary moments ended. A simple memory of you could suddenly interrupt their thoughts in the middle of the day. A small detail could return with surprising clarity. The way you once said something simple. The way you looked away during a quiet moment. The way certain conversations felt unfinished even after they ended. And what surprised them most was that these memories did not feel random anymore. They felt connected. As if each memory was quietly building towards something they had not fully admitted yet. Something huge is waiting for you, because then the family member asked a question no one expected. If you had the chance to say something honestly to this person right now, what would you say? There was no immediate answer. Only silence. A long silence. The kind of silence that happens when someone is choosing between protecting themselves and telling the truth. Then finally, very quietly, they answered. I would tell them that they have been on my mind more than they know. And even after saying it, they looked away, almost surprised that the sentence had finally escaped. Because some truths feel heavier after they are spoken aloud. Stay till the end, because what followed became even more revealing. The family member smiled gently and asked why your name carried so much weight now. Why now? Why not before? And the answer came slowly, but clearly. They said that something changed when they realized your absence also had meaning. That certain days felt incomplete in ways they could not explain. That when your presence was missing, ordinary things felt quieter than usual. And that realization made them understand your importance in a new way. Do not skip, because many people ignore feelings until absence teaches them what presence meant. And that is exactly what happened here. Your value became clearer in moments where you were not there. That is when thoughts became stronger. That is when silence became noticeable. That is when your name began carrying more than simple memory. Something huge is waiting for you, because then the family member asked another unexpected question. Do you think this person would ever imagine you thinking this deeply? Again, a pause. Then a soft answer. Probably not. That answer matters more than it seems. Because it means they believe much of what they feel has remained hidden successfully. They believe the depth has stayed invisible. But hidden feelings often reveal themselves in subtle ways, through tone, through pauses, through attention that lingers a little longer than usual. And perhaps that is why certain moments around you have felt unusual lately. Perhaps without words, something has already been reaching you. Stay till the end, because one sentence spoken next changed the atmosphere completely. The family member said, "Sometimes when someone keeps returning to your thoughts without effort, it is because something important is asking to be understood." Those words landed deeply. No argument followed. No denial. Because inside, they already knew it was true. And from that moment, the conversation became less about confusion and more about acceptance. They were no longer asking whether your name mattered. They were beginning to accept that it already did. Do not skip now, because the strongest revelation came near the end. Before leaving, the family member asked one final question. What is the one thing you still haven't admitted fully? This time, there was no long silence. No hesitation. Only one honest sentence. I think hearing their name now changes my entire mood. That answer could not be hidden behind anything. Because when a name changes your mood, it means the heart has already attached meaning far beyond ordinary thought. It means your presence now reaches emotional space they did not intend to open so deeply. Something huge is waiting for you, because after that answer, even the family member became quiet. They understood this had crossed into something serious. Not loud. Not dramatic. But deeply serious. And once a feeling reaches that point, life begins shifting quietly around it. People become more observant. More thoughtful. More aware of moments they once ignored. And that is exactly where things now stand. Your name is no longer passing through their mind casually. It now arrives with weight. With memory. With questions. With possibilities they did not expect to carry this far. Stay till the end, because quiet truths often move slower than words, but they reach deeper places. And while nothing may appear obvious yet, conversations like these always leave something behind, a new awareness that cannot return to how it was before. Your name has already created that shift. Your presence has already reached beyond ordinary thought. And what has begun quietly may soon become impossible to hide. Do not skip. Something huge is waiting for you. What happened after that was quieter than anyone expected, yet somehow even more powerful, because your name was no longer entering conversation only when asked about directly. It began appearing naturally, unexpectedly. Almost as if the mind could no longer keep it separate from ordinary life. Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you, and this next moment revealed how deeply everything had already changed. One evening, in a completely unrelated family discussion, someone mentioned future plans, ordinary decisions, simple possibilities that had nothing to do with you. But before the topic moved further, your name appeared again. Not forced. Not planned. Just spoken as though it already belonged inside thoughts about tomorrow. And the family member noticed that immediately. Because when a person's name begins entering future conversations without invitation, it means the heart has already made room before the mind fully understands why. Do not skip, because what followed was something they themselves did not expect to admit. The family member asked softly, "Why does this person come into your thoughts every time the future is mentioned?" There was a brief smile. A nervous one. Then silence. But this silence was different from before. It was no longer confusion. It was recognition. And after a few seconds, the answer came. Because lately, I cannot imagine certain things without wondering if they would be there too. That sentence changed everything in that room. Because wondering whether someone belongs inside your future is never casual. It means your presence has crossed into places where only meaningful thoughts stay. Something huge is waiting for you, because the family member immediately understood that this was no longer a passing feeling. This had become emotional reality. And for the first time, they said openly, "You speak about this person as if they already matter deeply." No denial followed. No correction. Only another quiet truth. Maybe they do. Stay till the end, because that small sentence carried more weight than anything said before. Sometimes the simplest words reveal the deepest shift. And from that moment onward, the conversation became more honest than ever. They admitted that recently they had started noticing details they once overlooked. How certain moments with you stayed clearer than other memories. How ordinary interactions somehow felt brighter later when remembered alone. How even silence around you sometimes felt more meaningful than long conversations with others. Do not skip now, because one revelation came next that surprised even the family member. They asked, "When did you first realize this was becoming serious?" The answer did not come immediately. Because some truths are recognized backward. Only after enough moments collect. Then they said, "I think I understood it when I realized I keep replaying small moments that should have been ordinary." That answer mattered deeply. Because replaying small moments means the heart has attached meaning where the world saw nothing unusual. A glance. A word. A pause. A brief exchange. Things that looked ordinary outside became unforgettable inside. And that only happens when someone has already begun carrying emotional weight you cannot easily explain. Something huge is waiting for you, because then the family member asked the strongest question yet. If this person suddenly walked away completely, would it affect you? The room became still. Very still. And after a long silence, the answer came with honesty that could not be hidden. More than I want to admit. That one answer revealed everything. Because people can hide feelings until they imagine absence. Absence tells the truth faster than presence sometimes does. And in that moment, even they understood how much your presence had already grown inside them. Stay till the end, because this next part changed the atmosphere again. The family member looked at them carefully and said, "Then perhaps what you feel is already much deeper than you planned." No one argued. Because when truth arrives from another voice, denial becomes difficult. And for the first time, they did not try to reduce what they felt. Instead, they admitted one final thing. Every time I decide not to think about them, something small reminds me again. A simple phrase, yet full of meaning. Because true emotional presence does not disappear when ignored. It returns through little things. Unexpected things. Quiet things. A familiar phrase. A passing memory. A moment of stillness. And suddenly your name returns again. Do not skip, because what happened near the end of that conversation may explain why this message reached you now. Before leaving, the family member asked, "Have you noticed how your face changes when you say their name?" That question caused immediate silence. Because some truths are visible before they are admitted. And after a pause, they smiled in a way that answered everything without needing many words. Then quietly they said, "I did not realize it was that obvious. Something huge is waiting for you, because that means your name is not only being spoken. It is being felt visibly. The expression changes. The tone changes. The energy changes. And when a name creates that kind of visible shift, silence can no longer hide everything. By now, your presence has become something they carry even when trying not to. Not loudly. Not dramatically. But steadily. And steady feelings often become the strongest because they survive ordinary days. Stay till the end, because quiet truths always move closer to clarity. Right now, your name exists in conversations where sincerity has already replaced hesitation. Your memory has entered moments where family notices what words alone cannot explain. And once others begin seeing what someone feels, the hidden part rarely stays hidden forever. That is why everything around this remains important. Because what began as one unexpected conversation has now become repeated thought, repeated honesty, repeated emotional return. Your name keeps arriving where it was never planned. And that never happens without reason. Do not skip. Something huge is waiting for you. And then came the moment no one in that family conversation expected, because after everything had already been said, one final truth surfaced that made the room completely still. It happened at the very end, when everyone thought the subject had already passed, when silence had returned and nothing more seemed left to reveal. Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you. And this last part carries the deepest meaning of all. The family member turned once more and asked a quiet question. If this person suddenly stood in front of you right now and asked what place they hold in your thoughts, would you answer honestly? That question stayed hanging in the air. No one spoke immediately. Because some questions touch places people have protected for a long time. Then slowly, with a seriousness that had not appeared before, the answer came. I do not think I could hide it anymore. Those words changed everything. Because until that moment, much of this had lived in careful silence, in unfinished admissions, in half-spoken truths. But saying that meant something had shifted beyond control. It meant your name had already crossed into a place where honesty was becoming stronger than hesitation. Do not skip, because what came next was even more unexpected. The family member asked. What exactly became impossible to hide? And for the first time, there was no attempt to soften the truth. The answer came clearly. The way my thoughts return to them even when I try to focus elsewhere. That sentence revealed the entire journey. Because thoughts do not return repeatedly without reason. And when they return despite effort, despite distraction, despite ordinary life continuing, it means something inside has already chosen importance before words fully understand it. Something huge is waiting for you, because after that answer, another detail emerged that explained everything even more deeply. They admitted that lately your name had begun arriving in the quietest hours. Not during busy noise. Not during distraction. But in still moments. Moments when the mind becomes honest. Moments when there is nothing to hide behind. And those are the moments when truth usually appears strongest. Stay till the end, because this next revelation was spoken almost in a whisper. They said that sometimes they catch themselves wondering what you are thinking at the exact same moment. Whether you ever pause unexpectedly. Whether your silence carries questions too. Whether certain moments affect you in ways you never speak aloud. That kind of thought does not come from simple curiosity. It comes when someone has already begun feeling connected beyond ordinary explanation. Do not skip now, because the family member noticed something else and asked directly. Have you realized that every time you talk about this person, your voice becomes softer? Again, silence. Then a quiet answer. Yes, and I cannot explain why. But some things do not need explanation. Because softness appears where meaning already exists. And your name had clearly reached that place. A place where tone changes naturally. Where even speaking carefully becomes impossible to control. Something huge is waiting for you, because the strongest statement of all came immediately after. The family member asked one final question. Do you think this person changed something inside you? And without hesitation, the answer came. Yes, more than they know. That answer held everything. Because change is the clearest sign that someone matters deeply. Not temporary attention. Not passing thought. Real inner change. The kind that shifts how a person sees ordinary days. The kind that makes memories brighter and absence more noticeable. The kind that quietly rearranges priorities without announcement. Stay till the end, because that answer also changed how the family member responded. They became very quiet, then said. Then perhaps this entered your life for a reason greater than you expected. And for the first time, there was no resistance to that possibility. No denial. No attempt to reduce the meaning. Because inwardly, they already knew something important had formed. Your name had become attached to reflection, to emotion, to possibility, to something steady enough that even family could hear it clearly now. Do not skip, because one final detail explains why all of this matters right now. After that conversation ended completely, long after everyone left, your name still remained in their thoughts. Not because anyone repeated it, but because some conversations do not end when voices stop. They continue inside. And that night, everything spoken returned to them again, every answer, every admission, every truth they had tried not to say too clearly. And in that silence, one thought became impossible to ignore. Your presence had already become part of something they could no longer call ordinary. Something huge is waiting for you, because once a person reaches that realization, change usually follows. Quietly at first. Then visibly. A different attention. A different tone. A different way of holding your name inside thought. And perhaps soon, even the distance between hidden feeling and spoken truth becomes smaller than expected. Because once family has heard what the heart carries, silence no longer feels as safe as before. Stay till the end, because this is the deepest truth. Sometimes you never hear the first honest conversation about yourself. Sometimes it happens behind closed doors, in ordinary voices, in moments you were never meant to witness. Yet those unseen conversations often mark the exact moment everything begins changing. And for you, that moment has already happened. Your name has already entered serious thought. Your presence has already left deeper impact than anyone openly showed. And what was shared about you was unexpected because even they did not realize how much truth had gathered until someone asked them to speak. Now that truth exists. It has been spoken. It has been heard. And once truth is heard, life rarely returns to complete silence. Do not skip. Something huge is waiting for you.